The death toll in Israel's attacks on Gaza, ongoing for 2 years, has reached 67,173. In the genocide that Israel has been carrying out in the besieged Gaza Strip for 2 years, the death toll has risen to 67,173, including 20,179 children. In a written statement issued by the Ministry of Health in Gaza, it was noted that Israel's attacks on the Gaza Strip, ongoing since October 2023, have now entered their second year. The statement called on international health organizations to take urgent action to save the remaining healthcare system in Gaza, saying, "What is happening in Gaza is not a crisis. It is the systematic destruction of the health system, which is a fundamental pillar of human existence, under continuous assault for 730 days." The statement emphasized that Israel has committed genocide against Gaza's healthcare system, adding that hospitals in Gaza have turned into empty concrete shells as a result of Israel's direct and indirect attacks. According to the ministry, since October 8, 2023, the death toll from Israel's ongoing genocide in the Gaza Strip has reached 67,173, including 20,179 children, 10,427 women, and 4,813 elderly people. 701 healthcare workers killed. The statement also highlighted that the number of people injured in Israel's attacks on Gaza has reached 169,780, and 1,701 healthcare workers have been killed. IT added that 362 healthcare workers have been detained by the Israeli army and are being held under harsh conditions. The statement further detailed, out of 38 hospitals in Gaza, 25 are completely out of service, while the remaining 13 operate only partially. The occupying forces have destroyed 103 of the 157 healthcare centers in the Gaza Strip, and the remaining 54 are only partially functional. Due to Tel Aviv's strict blockade, medicine and medical equipment cannot reach Gaza, causing the condition of the sick and wounded to deteriorate daily. To IT was noted that while hospital bed occupancy stood at 82% last year, it has now surged to 225%, meaning hospitals are operating far beyond capacity. The statement also reported that Israel has directly targeted hospitals' power systems and oxygen plants during its attacks. Out of 35 oxygen stations, 25 are now out of service, and among 110 power stations, 61 have been destroyed. The statement reminded that Israel has been committing war crimes in Gaza for 2 years by using hunger as a weapon, noting that 460 Palestinians, including 154 children, have died due to starvation. That IT also reported that 51,196 children under the age of 5 in Gaza are suffering from malnutrition, and 4,900 people who lost their limbs in Israeli attacks are in need of long-term treatment and rehabilitation. The statement recalled that the Tel Aviv administration continues to keep Gaza's border crossings closed, preventing 18,000 sick and wounded Palestinians, including 5,580 children, from receiving treatment abroad. In Israel's most recent attacks on the Gaza Strip, 7 Palestinians were killed. Despite calls from U.S. President Donald Trump to stop the attacks, Israel continues its bombardments on Gaza. According to information from health sources and eyewitnesses, the Israeli army once again targeted areas where civilians were gathered, including tents of displaced people, homes, and those waiting for humanitarian aid. 5. Israeli raids and attacks in West Bank and Gaza. Israeli forces injured a child and detained 5 people in West Bank raids. According to the Palestinian official news agency Wafa, Israeli forces conducted a raid in the Arabe neighborhood of Jenin, deploying military vehicles on the streets, and opening fire on Palestinians. A written statement from the Palestinian Red Crescent reported that the medical team at Jenin Government Hospital transported a 12-year-old child who was injured by gunfire in Arabe to the hospital for treatment. According to Palestinian state television, Israeli soldiers also raided the village of Rujib, east of Nablus in northern West Bank. Simultaneously, Israeli settlers occupying Palestinian lands conducted raids around the village. Palestinian state radio Voice of Palestine reported that the Israeli army raided an apartment building east of Nablus. Eyewitnesses reported that in the southern West Bank village of Isna, near Hebron, four Palestinian farmers working on their own lands were detained by Israeli forces. Israeli soldiers also seized 2 tractors and prevented Palestinians from entering the area, citing security reasons. Additionally, Israeli forces raided the village of Kirbet Amher in the southern Hebron area to stop Palestinians from planting olive trees to replace those cut down during the night. During the raid, village council chairman Halil El-Hezlin was detained by Israeli forces. Eyewitnesses also reported that Israeli soldiers forcibly expelled Palestinians from their lands and declared the area a closed military zone for 24 hours. Israeli raids and arrests against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem have increased simultaneously, with the genocide being carried out in the Gaza Strip. Bombardment continues in northern Gaza City. The Israeli army bombed an area in the Sabra neighborhood of northern Gaza City where civilians had gathered, killing 3 people. A residential apartment in the Rimal neighborhood was hit by artillery, injuring many. Israeli artillery units fired on Nasser and Shujaiya neighborhoods, while some buildings in Sabra were blown up with explosives, shooting at people waiting for humanitarian aid in southern Gaza. In an attack in the Batin Semen area of Khan Yunis, 1 Palestinian was killed. Israeli soldiers also opened fire on people waiting for humanitarian aid near the Morag corridor in Khan Yunis, killing 1 Palestinian. Other attacks in the central and southern Gaza regions killed 2 more Palestinians. Israeli forces fired on Palestinians waiting for aid at a distribution point in northern Rafah, wounding 7. The Israeli army also struck a tent sheltering displaced people in Khan Yunis, injuring 8. Israeli artillery continues to target central and southern Khan Yunis, while warplanes launch intensive airstrikes on the city's northern and central areas. Israeli raid in occupied El Bayer. Eyewitnesses reported that Israeli soldiers raided El Bayer, stationed throughout neighborhoods, set up checkpoints on many streets, and arrested numerous young people while obstructing traffic. Soldiers also beat Palestinians and removed Palestinian flags from poles and shops. Eyewitnesses said the Israeli army turned the Great Omar Mosque into an interrogation center for detainees. Tear gas was fired at civilians gathered in the city, causing some to experience suffocation. Haizem Karen, who was released after detention, told Anadolu Agency that Israeli forces kept them detained for hours and forced them to wait in a courtyard until released. Soldiers only asked them for the date today, referring to October 7th, 2023, the day of the attacks. Israeli soldiers also raided El Amari refugee camp near Ramallah and the Kafr Akkad area north of Jerusalem. Gaza government. Israeli attacks have orphaned 77 children daily. A written statement from the media office of the Gaza government said, Israel's ongoing attacks in Gaza have caused 77 children to be orphaned every day. According to the statement, since October 8th, 2023, an average of 29 Palestinian women have become widows daily due to Israeli attacks in Gaza. The bombardment has also caused 16 pregnant women to suffer miscarriages each day. According to the Gaza Ministry of Health, in the 2 years of Israel's ongoing genocide, the death toll has reached 67,173, and the number of injured is 169, 780 that among those killed in Israeli attacks, 20,179 were children, 10,427 were women, and 4,813 were elderly. UNICEF, children in Gaza have been exposed to horrors no child should ever see. Ricardo Perez, spokesperson for the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, spoke at the weekly press briefing of the UN Geneva office. Perez stated that Israel has carried out unprecedented levels of violence in Gaza and called on Israel to halt its relentless attacks on the region for the past 2 years and to agree to a ceasefire. He said, "For nearly 2 years, children have paid the heaviest price in this crisis. On average, a child is killed or disabled every 17 minutes. This number is shocking and unacceptable." Perez emphasized that due to Israel's attacks, children have been orphaned or displaced multiple times. Children in Gaza have been exposed to horrors that no child should ever see or experience. They're suffering severe physical and psychological trauma. He also highlighted the danger caused by repeated denials of humanitarian access to Gaza, noting that critical incubators and ventilators for premature babies were not allowed to enter. Stressing that children have had to share oxygen masks to survive, Perez said, "1 in every 5 babies in Gaza is born prematurely. Malnutrition has increased, and in the past 2 months, more than 10,000 children have been diagnosed with acute malnutrition." He added that approximately 2,400 children in Gaza City are receiving treatment for severe acute malnutrition, warning that depriving them of treatment could be fatal. UNRWA. Gaza Strip has endured 2 years of destruction, displacement, and hunger. In a written statement, UNRWA emphasized that civilians in Gaza have been living for 2 years amid endless destruction, bombardment, fear, and hunger. The statement said, "Sadness and deep suffering. This is the reality for most people in Gaza. For 2 long years, people have seen nothing but destruction, displacement, bombardment, fear, death, and hunger." It added, "Now, pain, destruction, death, and fear have become part of the daily life of millions of people." UNRWA stressed the need to stop attacks on Gaza and establish a ceasefire, calling for weapons must fall silent everywhere. Essential humanitarian aid must reach Gaza without any obstruction. 152 students and educators killed in West Bank by Israeli attacks in the last 2 years. According to a written statement by the Palestinian Ministry of Education, since October 8, 2023, when Israel began attacks on Gaza, there have been significant casualties, injuries, and arrests in the field of education in the occupied West Bank. Students: 110 primary, middle, and high school students killed, 781 students injured, 393 students detained. Educators: 5 teachers killed, 23 injured, at least 198 detained. University students: 37 killed, at least 246 injured, 431 students and 17 staff detained. The statement also noted that the Israeli army raided numerous schools and universities in the West Bank, resulting in 2 schools being destroyed. Israel detains over 20,000 Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem in the last 2 years. The Palestinian Prisoner Society released a report on the increasing detentions of Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem since October 8, 2023, when Israel began its ongoing genocide in the Gaza Strip. Over the last 2 years, more than 20,000 Palestinians were detained, including 1,660 children and 595 women. The report noted that Israeli forces committed assaults and mistreatment against detainees and their families during these arrests. In Israeli prisons, where torture and abuse have increased, 77 Palestinians died over the last 2 years, 46 of whom were taken from Gaza. Allegations include starvation, physical and psychological torture, and sexual assault in Israeli prisons. The number of Palestinians in Israeli prisons has risen from 5,252 years ago to over 11,100 today. Over 10,000 children diagnosed with acute malnutrition in Gaza in the last 2 months. At the UN Geneva weekly press briefing, UNRWA spokesperson Jens Lerche, UNICEF spokesperson Ricardo Perez, and other UN officials spoke about the humanitarian crisis. Lynn Meyer reported that over 500,000 people are trapped in Gaza due to famine, noting that 640,000 people in the Gaza Strip face catastrophic food insecurity. In the last 2 months, 10,000 children were diagnosed with acute malnutrition, many at risk of dying from hunger. Only 14 out of 36 hospitals in Gaza are partially functional. No hospitals are operational in northern Gaza. Lerche highlighted that approximately 400 Palestinians in Gaza died from malnutrition due to ongoing Israeli attacks. UN actions and humanitarian access challenges. Over the last 2 years, more than 8,000 coordinated aid and movement requests were submitted in Gaza. Over a quarter were blocked or denied by Israel. Lerche emphasized the need to keep all access routes to northern Gaza open, especially for life-saving aid. Perez reported that 18 of 24 infants requiring urgent evacuation in northern Gaza could not be moved due to ongoing attacks. UN, civilian population continues to bear the cost of Israeli attacks. UN Secretary-General spokesperson Stefan Dujarric stated that ongoing Israeli air and artillery attacks in Gaza are causing more civilian deaths, widespread displacement, and destruction of critical infrastructure. He added that women and girls are at the highest risk, while obstacles continue to prevent humanitarian aid from reaching Gaza in the necessary scale. Dujarric noted that complex approval procedures, border restrictions, and unpredictable rejection of pre-approved aid by Israeli authorities continue to delay aid delivery. Of 20 UN-coordinated humanitarian operations, only 8 were facilitated, highlighting the need to immediately open crossings and lift restrictions. Israel releases autistic Palestinian injured and detained in Gaza. 18-year-old Omer Yehia El-Karanavi, an autistic Palestinian from Burej refugee camp, was transferred to Aqsa Martyrs Hospital after being released by Israeli forces. El-Karanavi had been injured by Israeli fire despite posing no threat and detained under extremely harsh conditions for months. Many Palestinians previously detained and later released reported torture, medical neglect, and starvation. Since October 8, 2023, thousands of Palestinians, including women, children, and healthcare workers, have been detained during Israel's ongoing genocide in Gaza. Gaza government. Israel killed 118 Palestinians in 4 days, ignoring calls for calm. The Gaza media office stated that Israel ignored ceasefire calls by U.S. President Donald Trump and continued attacks on Palestinians. From October 4th to 7th, Israeli forces carried out over 230 air and artillery attacks, killing 118 civilians, including women and children, with 72 victims from Gaza City. The statement emphasized that Israel continues its genocide and systematic killing of civilians, ignoring international calls for calm. Israel is held responsible for the crimes in Gaza, and the U.S. government and international community are urged to take immediate and effective action to stop attacks and enforce a ceasefire.